Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm your host, and I am the founder and CEO of the Bobby White Foundation. We're here on Area 52 TV, Facebook, I don't know, wherever you can find us. I want to thank John and Austin from Area 52 Media Group for producing our show for us. This is our 146th show, which is crazy. I also want to thank one of our sponsors, DeLynn Gaston with the mortgage firm, Everything Mortgages. I can't even imagine what it's like out there in the market today, but she can. She knows. She's very smart. She can help you. First time refinance, whatever it takes. Excuse me. Kind of mix things up kind of a little bit today, is I want to get in. Next week's show is probably going to be a rerun. I'm preparing to go out to Oregon to visit family. And anyway, so when I get back, we're going to be right up within a few days of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Out of the Darkness Walk. So that is going to be November 2nd at Sims Park in Newport Richey. You can still register. There you go. There's that QR code. You can still register for the walk. Just come on down to the park. It's a really nice park to walk around. What else? Oh, I will be the MC. And we'll have at least one guest speaker. We may have two. I can't remember. But anyways, so be sure to support AFSP. We will, the Bobby White Foundation will have a table there with information on our support groups and all that stuff. So that's going to be here quicker than we know it. So I wanted to share again this week with you, just because briefly. Last weekend I went out and with a couple of the gals from our Rotary Club of the Nature Coast to hand out sandwiches and food to those affected in our area by the two recent hurricanes. And we were at a church, and it was close to Hudson Beach. And on Hudson Beach, there was a restaurant that Bobby and I always loved to go to, on the Gulf. And we would go there for my birthday or anniversary or his birthday. Years ago, a bunch of us would get together. They were all surveyor guys and spouses. None of us had kids. And once a month, we would go out to dinner. There was like 6 couples or so. And so whoever's birthday month it was, they got to choose which restaurant. And usually I chose, on the Gulf. So anyways, they just reopened like the day before. And they, got flooded out. They have a really super nice restaurant, and then they also have a motel. And it's right on Hudson Beach there. And anyways, so when we got done handing out the sandwiches, since I was getting ready to go out of town, I wanted to support, them as a local small business. And so 3 of us, we went to lunch. Well, on the way, which is like probably less than a mile or so, going down Clark Street, which takes you straight to Hudson Beach. And on the left-hand side are the canals and homes and just street after street. And looking down those streets was horrifying. Anybody that has, watched the news and you see it all on TV, when you see it in person, it is so much different. Every single street was the remnants of someone's home. every home on the street. The homes were intact, except for the insides and everything inside. It was just really it was sad. It was really sad. Um, and it is to see it in person. So I wanted to share again this week. We shared it last week, information from the CDC about how to cope with disasters and traumatic events. And I'll again put it in the comments on our show page, and also I think it's also on the foundation Facebook page. But you might want to either take a screenshot of it or see if you can, copy and save it, download it, just to keep it handy. It's really just helpful things. Um, you know, self-care is so important. I've seen firsthand from a friend who she lost everything, just how stressful just every day, every moment is for them, for their family. Children that have gone through this, how to help children and common signs of distress. And those of us that haven't been as affected, because it's all across the board. We have people that have completely lost all their homes, and then we have people that were totally unscathed, which I pretty much fall into that category. All I had was a big mess to clean up, which I'm still cleaning up, and to cover my windows and take my window coverings down. But those of us that haven't been as affected, I mean, we're still affected but not like those that have lost, physically lost their homes, and their cars, their vehicles, just everything. Just help out where you can. Not everybody can do a lot, but everybody can do something. And even just, to be nice, be kind, lend an ear. I've been able to do, a couple things. I don't go out and splash it all over Facebook, but it is it's really difficult, and so many people are affected. I mean, pretty much the entire southeast of the United States. It's just sad. But anyways, so I just wanted to share that, and it did really, seeing it in person, and even knowing that it's just a couple miles from here, it really affected me, even more than it already has. But that's why we need to. That's why we have community, and we support each other. And our community here in Pasco County, all across, because in our county, and the same with Hillsborough, possibly Pinella or Hernando. I know Hillsborough, Pasco, and even Polk County. The damage didn't come to a lot of people until after the storm passed, because we got so much rain that these rivers and lakes overflowed in areas that they have never ever flooded before. And in some areas, it's going to be maybe a couple of weeks before the water goes down enough for these people to get back to their homes. And it's sad. Our communities need to do a whole lot better job when it comes to building. It's not the communities. It's our governments, county commissioners, who are allowing some of this stuff to happen. Communities being built on swamplands, and our water has nowhere to go. Um, there, there's just so much. It's unbelievable, and the people that live here end up paying the price, and the help from the government. I don't know. Fortunately, I'm not in that position. I don't know what I would do if I was in that position. I really don't. I mean, we had it here the summer before Bobby died. We had like 3 weeks of rain. I mean, just steady rain. And there's this shopping center down the street that has always flooded as long as we have lived here. Always flooded. And of course it did again this year. But anyway, so they put in a excuse me, what is it? Neighborhood Walmart, that's just a supermarket type Walmart. And I had heard and was under the impression that if they were going to put that there, then they had to help figure out how to alleviate the flooding in that area. Well, the county let them build it. Nothing was done. Nothing was done to mitigate the oversaturation when it happened. And so Walmart pumped out illegally for 3 days under the road back into my neighborhood and 2 other neighborhoods. And one day my neighbor Kathy, she calls me, this is happening. And she's like, have you looked at the lake? And so I went and I looked, and the lake was halfway up in our yard, and you could actually watch the water rise. And our coolers that were down by our shop were starting to float out into the lake. So I ran over to her house, and we grabbed her 2 canoes and went out into the lake and recovered our coolers. And our canoe was flipped up, so with all this rain it was full of water, so it wasn't budging because it was full of water, which it was down there by the lake in the water. So by the time Bobby got home, the lake was probably about 30 feet from our house, and we live like on a little hill on our lake. We're like the highest property, but the water kept coming up and kept coming. I mean, you literally could watch the water rise, and it came probably within 15 feet. I used to always say 20, but I think it was actually closer. One day I'll measure it. But probably within 15 to 20 feet of the back of our house, and we're the highest property. So that meant that on the other side of the lake in Bass Lake, and this actually happened, that homes flooded so that Walmart could stay open. Now, that's just nuts. One of the homes was like what do you call it? Like a group home for veterans. He got flooded out. He had like a half a dozen or so veterans living at this home he was trying to help, and got flooded out because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Now, I don't know where they pumped the water this time, but thankfully it wasn't back into our lake. So, and I actually drove through the parking lot this afternoon, and there's still water there. There's areas that are backed up, that are, still have water and are blocked off. But yeah, it's just crazy. So there's going to be a lot of people in all of our communities across the Southeast that, and it may not happen immediately, but as time goes on and as recovery begins, there's going to be a lot of trauma, a lot of trauma. So we just need to take care of each other as best we can, and take care of ourselves as best we can. So anyways, with that being said, we are starting our support group back up. in November. We didn't have them during October because they fell during the hurricane times. So, and I said when they were last time, November the 2nd, Wednesday of November, which is November 13th for the Hernando Spring Hill group at the NAMI office. And then Thursday, November 21st for West Pasco, and we'll be back again at the Oasis. So I think it's important that we get those groups back and going. Any individuals in our group that may have been affected, they're going to need our support also. And we just got moving forward. The long-term effects of these horrific storms is going to be something else. So it's important that we have these groups going and we have the support for people. And one of our meetings, Zero Suicide Partner meetings, actually, I think it was Michelle from our gun safety group. She came across a peer-reviewed article that had to do with lost survivors and support. Now, anybody that has ever had to have anything to do with peer-reviewed articles, they're kind of a pain in the butt to read. But anyways, so I'm just going to kind of go over a little bit of it. And I'm going to, our next show, I'll decipher a little bit more of it because you kind of only want to take this in little chunks. But anyways, the article is called Investigating the Social Correlates Associated with Getting Help After a Suicide or Not, an important unexamined bereavement question. And this is by 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 authors contributed to this. So in the abstract of this article, so I'm just going to go through the abstract, a little bit of the introduction and the conclusion, and then we'll do a little bit more stuff with this. But anyways, the idea of the article was to provide more systemic information on treatment seeking and those not seeking help after a suicide. So, and that would either be traditional means or non-traditional means, which like traditional means would be like going to counseling, a psychiatrist, non-traditional, going to a psychic. The sample was from 1,132 adults who lost a loved one to suicide during the past 6 years. And this study was done in 2023. And the focus was on, for the most part, the focus was on first-degree relative loss survivors, and those seeking help and not seeking help. Alternative modalities. Okay. So, anyways, there's been, more research done in the last couple of decades, but not a lot on this part of the subject, I guess. So, there's this place that they do this, all these surveys, and I had it. But anyways, so for more than 2 decades, grief experts have been questioning whether grief counseling and support actually matter in alleviating the adjustment problems associated with a loved one's death. In the area of suicide bereavement, little doubt appears to exist in the value of counseling and peer helping in alleviating the multifold grieving problems associated with suicide loss. namely PTSD associated with the shock of either witnessing the occasionally violent death or finding the body, prolonged or complicated grieving, stigmatization of the suicidal deceased and the family members, and the shattering of one's assimilative world with this death. So the survey took about 30 minutes to complete. Now, it was initially, here it is. It was contracted with the American Population Panel at the Ohio State University. And they draw from thousands and thousands of people. There were perimeters for them to, in order for them to be participants in this. And it was only open for like 4 days because they ended up having a lot more people applying for it than they reached their limit for what they were doing. So anyways, after going through the completed surveys, and they even said there were people that took this survey that shouldn't have taken it. They were fake. That just blows my mind. They said it was offered to a potential 33,625. Other respondents, one of the parameters was the loss had to be 6 years or less. And I found this really ironic in this. The survey they exceeded their target sample size. Beyond this, other potential respondents were excluded because their death losses exceeded 6 years since the lost time since eligibility. Surveys remained incomplete, or the respondent had submitted a fraudulent response. Fraudulent surveys were defined as those who took less than 10 minutes to complete, or those that reported nonsensical answers to the one open-ended question. Why? So anyways, they were able to authenticate 1,132 surveys. So it was kind of interesting. They have it broken down into sex, age, regions of the United States. Now, these were people who responded to the surveys, not per se where it's probably closer to where the deaths may have happened, but these are where the respondents were from. And the highest were in the Northeast and the South. 399 respondents in the Northeast and 373 in the South. 651 were married. Anyways, they break it down, and I'll go through and break down some of the stuff and make it a little bit more kind of sensical. Because like I said, these peer-reviewed articles sometimes are kind of hard to go through. So anyways, let's just go to the conclusion. So anyway, that's why, counseling and peer-reviewed support groups, or peer-to-peer support groups, I think are important. It's hard on both ends. I tried to go to a counseling when my first husband was killed. I lived in South Florida. The support groups were mostly women 65 and older. I was 26. I tried counseling. That was a total disaster. Was the wrong person. So if you go to something and it's not a right fit, just keep trying, because you're going to find something that's a right fit. But anyway, they concluded that 84% of the first-degree relatives whose burdens of grief, distress remain considerable, found solace and support from professional counseling and peer support group participation. Evidence suggests experience of support are associated with higher post-traumatic growth and the diminishing feelings of being stigmatized as a suicide loss survivor. And that's a big thing that we still live with in society. It is getting a little bit better, but the stigma of our loved one dying by suicide is still there, and the stigma that lost survivors have um, it's just still there. Um, and that's why we had no loss support group in Pasco County for lost survivors, and that's why we wanted to get one started. And the same with Hernando County. It's hard for people that want to attend at times, because it's just hard. It's the grief is hard. And a lot, I mean, I've gone through it. Deep grief, traumatic grief is just it's hard, but that's why we need community. I found a saying somewhere: we don't heal in solitude, we heal in community. And that's not the exact right words, but it's pretty close. So here is my quote for today. Sometimes life will kick you around, but sooner or later you realize you're not just a survivor. You are a warrior, and you're stronger than anything life throws your way. So please remember to put the phone numbers in your phone, have them available, memorize them. The 988 number is a call or text. Press 1 for veterans. Text 741-741. You just never know. You could be the person to be there and save that person's life. Because remember, there is always hope. Thank you.